Hey everybody, it's Lori with the Catchapocket podcast. And tonight, episode 27, editorial cartoonist Richard Crowson. He's a musician, he's an artist, and he's just a delight to talk to. So, we had a great talk. We talked about his life. We told stories. We social distanced in my studio, which means he was on one side of my studio and I was on the other. And I Lysoled and cleaned everything because of COVID-19. And he didn't catch the coronavirus, and neither did I. So hallelujah for that. This is the last episode of season 2. I am taking a break, you guys. I am exhausted. I don't even know why. I'm not really doing anything except for this. Working. Oh yeah. And taking care of my family and everything else. So, yeah. I need a little chill and recalibrate and get some new guests in line. I'm lining up some people already. I hope if you have a great story and you're an artist or a musician or any kind of creative person, a politician, please contact me at catchapocket@gmail.com and we'll arrange either a Skype interview, a Zoom interview, whatever we can do, a person-to-person distant studio interview, whatever we can do to get you on here to tell your story, because that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to continue to do that as soon as I recalibrate and get a little more gumption, because I'm running low. But I hope you guys are safe. I hope you wear your masks. I hope you wash your hands. I hope you self-distance. I hope you don't get the virus. And if you do, I hope you don't have to suffer too much. Take care of yourself. And here is Mr. Richard Crowson. Enjoy. I'm here with Richard Crowson.
Wow, this is me.
Yeah, and we're in the same room together. We're kind of far away from each other because we're being good citizens and not spreading the coronavirus.
That's the way we are.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to get it, and I don't want to spread it. So Richard Crowson is a local artist, and we're just going to talk and see what happens. So, how's it going, Richard? How's your day going?
It's going okay so far. We'll see what happens tonight. We're in the middle of so much weirdness.
Oh, man, I know. Every day's a different day.
God, it's so strange. But, yeah, it's going good.
Good.
It's going good.
Excellent. So let's go from the beginning. Where were you born?
Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis?
Yeah.
And how long did you live there in Memphis?
I was there, I was there from when I was born in 52 until about 76 when I moved to Jackson, Tennessee, 1976.
And so, let's see.
So I went to
primary school
there
yeah.
And
elementary school in there.
Yep, and all that biz, and then college at Memphis State, which is now called the University of Memphis.
Okay.
Didn't graduate, about 20 hours shy of graduating when I got my first cartooning job out of town, so I moved for that.
So when you were going there, were you going for art or were you going for another reason?
In college? I was double majoring in art and history.
Okay.
So those were my two main interests.
You loved history. Do you still love history and art?
Yeah. In fact, yeah, I do. But I'm like a lot of people in that era. I was heavily influenced by the 60s, so I switched my major around according to my whim from month to month.
Right, and as you should as a kid, I think that's the time you do need to go down those paths because you'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah, you got to try it. You got to try it and see if it's right for you.
Right.
And at the time, really I wasn't optimistic about getting any kind of a job in whatever I majored in. So I just thought, well, hell, I'm just going to major in whatever I like and just enjoy it.
You weren't thinking about getting a job. Were your parents kind of thinking about it? Or were they pointing you in that
They were scared shitless. but not, I wasn't worried about it.
You weren't?
I just, when you're that age.
And it was in the 60s.
You don't worry.
So what? Like 68, 69 that time, and you're going to college.
No, well, in 1970, I graduated from high school.
Okay.
And then I got married right off the bat, and
in Memphis.
In Memphis.
Okay.
And after, it's a long story.
Well, that's why we're here.
After high school, I did some traveling, and my sister lived in LA, and
oh, cool.
I hitchhiked most of the way from Memphis to LA.
Wow.
And spent about, I spent about 3 weeks.
On the road?
3.5 weeks on the road, yeah.
So it took you. I mean, you could have hustled, but you were kind of being leisurely about it or whatever.
It's totally being leisurely.
Yeah.
I got on a bus from Memphis to make my mom happy. Mm-hmm. And then I was about 3/4 of the way across Arkansas, and I got off the bus, and I thought, I want to hitchhike.
Oh, my God.
So I hitchhiked the rest of the way, but I got waylaid, along the way several times, but the longest time was at the Grand Canyon. I spent a lot of time there.
It's like beautiful, yeah.
There.
So you were camping there?
Well, I was squatting.
Okay.
I mean, I had a sleeping bag and a backpack, and so I was just like sleeping in the campgrounds. In 1970, there were just tons of kids like me.
Right.
We were on the road, and I met a bunch of them at the canyon, and
right.
Just right off the bat, and we hung out, and we just,
had a ball.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
I have a story of going to the Grand Canyon as well with a friend of mine. We backpacked. We decided and in my time, like when this was, I can't even remember, like in the 2000s or something, and it was really itinerary. Like you had to pay for your thing and know where you are, and they checked you to make sure you were there so you didn't die because it was pretty warm out. And
so did you hike down to the river?
Yeah, hiked down to the river, stayed in a campsite, and we explored with different things out there too. And coming around a canyon and hearing like angels singing, it was so beautiful, and the wind blowing, like it was just great.
It's otherworldly.
Yeah.
It's. I tell people, that haven't seen it, you got to go and see the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, you really do.
There's nothing else in the world like it.
There's nothing. I've never seen anything like that.
You can just sit without any hallucinatory drugs at all and just stare at it for hours because it's
fascinating.
Just, it doesn't compute. Your mind can't take it in, and it's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
But
so you were there for 3 weeks
or so.
Yeah. Just camping around the canyon with a bunch of kids your age.
And then hooked up with some of them, and we went. One of them had a motorcycle, and we rode around a lot. And we went down to Phoenix and spent some time there. And then I went the rest of the way out to LA.
Were you a musician then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had it. That's another whole long story. But I had a 12-string Yamaha guitar.
Oh, okay.
And I was traveling with that, and blah 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 happened, and blah blah blah. But eventually, this guy talked me into letting him borrow it to busk for a while in one of the lodges, the Bright Angel Lodge, actually on the south rim of the canyon.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
And so I did that. I loaned it to him, and I went off with a girl that I met there, and we were gone for a few hours, just walking around and stuff. And when I got back, he was gone, and my guitar was gone.
Oh, man.
So yeah, it got totally ripped off.
Oh, man. Bad karma for that guy, hopefully.
But there's another part of the story.
Oh, let's go.
It is so bizarre. People don't believe it when I tell them. But about maybe 7 or 8 years ago now, a guy that I didn't know came up to me at Watermark Books, where Karen and I perform once a month with
on the third
the
Friday.
wonderful Phil.
My husband.
Yes, and Dennis Harden. And
Not my husband. Peaches.
Not your husband. No, you're not married to Dennis.
No, but he's Peaches.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's definitely Peaches. But anyway, this guy came up to me after our gig and said, "Hey, I've got something I want to give you. I don't have anything to do with it, but I was cleaning out." I think he said he was cleaning out his mom's basement or something. He was an older guy too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
like your age, is that what you mean by that?
Not. I think he might have been a few years older than me.
Even older?
Yeah, even older.
Like way.
It's hard to believe. The numbers even go that high.
Yeah, but, they keep going.
But anyway, he said, and he took me out to his car, and it was a Yamaha 12-string guitar, red label. The red label is like a certain kind of a Yamaha that was made a few years, which mine was.
Right.
It was made within the same time period. I don't know. I wish I knew the serial number on the one that I had stolen, but it was a carbon copy of that guitar, and he gave it to me.
Did he know that you lost the other one?
No, he had no idea. He just knew that I was a musician. This just sounds nutty.
That is crazy.
It really is true.
It could be the same guitar, though.
I like to think so.
So it came back to you.
But it didn't have my retainer in the guitar case. See,
well,
when my guitar was stolen,
I'd have thrown that.
My retainer from when I had braces was in my guitar storage pouch thing. So if it had had that in there, I would have thought, "Oh my God, what is going on?"
Even if it wouldn't have been the same one, it would just been amazing. No, that's great.
It's so weird. So I've got that guitar and I play it occasionally. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. So you're heading on to LA.
Spent the summer in LA with my sister, Doris, and I.
Just the summer?
Yes, just the summer, about 3 months. And I worked. I got a job with the Manpower Temp Organization.
Sure.
Working for Georgia Pacific Chemical Company in Del Monte, California.
Okay, yeah.
Is it Del Monte or El Monte? Which one is the pineapple?
Del Monte.
Okay, so it was El Monte.
Okay.
The home of Frank Zappa. That's where
okay.
But anyway, I got a job in this factory making swimming pool chlorine and bleach.
Whoa.
And
those are caustic.
Quite a job. Me and a whole bunch of Hispanic guys, and it was really interesting. Culturally, I got introduced to a lot of stuff this little white Southern boy didn't even know existed.
Sure.
About. So
Memphis is a long way from Mexico.
Yeah, so it was a really good experience in that regard. But
yeah.
Anyway, I worked for that company, and that's when I started kind of doing guerrilla cartooning, what I call guerrilla cartooning. I would get to work, or I had to hitchhike. I hitchhiked to and from work on the freeways in LA every day. And so I'd get there, and I'd have to leave really early to be sure I got there on time. And sometimes I'd get there really early to the factory from let's see, what the town that my sister was in. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, it was 45 minutes on a freeway.
Whoa.
Anyway, I'd get to work early, and after a while, I got to thinking, man, I'm working for this crappy company, Georgia Pacific. They're polluting the earth. They're cutting timber, everywhere. And so I would draw these anti-Georgia Pacific political cartoons, and I would post them on the bulletin board before that people looked at before anybody else got there. And it was like my experience with really doing inflammatory cartooning, which was really fun. And that's probably what gave me the bug to keep cartooning, because was just fun to
Watch
sort
other
of
people.
watch other people's reaction and see the the managers that would come in and they'd rip it off, and it was fun. But anyway, I did that for that summer, and then
That's awesome. Like Banksy, only Georgia Pacific.
smaller scale.
Oh, way smaller scale.
Considerably smaller
Yeah.
scale, but yeah. So after that, back to Memphis.
Okay. So the summer was over, and you were glad to go back home, or
No, I wasn't glad.
You weren't?
Glad to go back. I didn't want to go back home, but I had to do something, and I didn't know what to do, so I just went back home. And it really, the family that I was raised in, we didn't have a lot of money. We were definitely blue collar family, and I had no savings. My family couldn't afford to send me to college, so
right?
So it was just like go back to Memphis and try to find a job, I guess. And so I went back to Memphis, and I got married after getting back to Memphis for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa, my wife, and I, we were just kind of hippies.
Yeah.
And I had several jobs. This has got to be boring to everybody. But I had several
probably
jobs,
not at all.
like worked in a cylinder factory that made these big cylinders, and had to roll these giant heavy cylinders in and out of these kilns,
Wow.
like oxygen tank kind of cylinders.
Oh,
Great big
wow,
things.
yeah. Like making humongous missiles.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
They were almost as tall as I was, and I was this skinny little sprawly kid. So yeah, so that happened, and I had that job for only a couple of weeks. It was too much for me.
Yeah.
And I found another job at a carpet company. And I worked there for
Kind of like
couple of
regular
years.
old Joe jobs that
Just
you would
driving
have as a
forklift, delivering carpet,
20-something.
installing carpet, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And then I got drafted, and
Wow, how'd that go?
well, I got out of it. It was let's see, that was in '71, I believe, that I got drafted.
Okay.
And
The war ended,
the war
or
was
the
winding
conflict.
down, but I was probably going to be, still sent over to Vietnam if I'd gotten in. So there were draft counselors set up all over the country, at schools,
Right.
universities.
Mhm.
So I went to the Memphis State draft counseling office, even though I wasn't a student yet, and they went through this. They had this little booklet of ways to get out of the draft,
Right, sure.
ways to get 4F or whatever, and none of them I could make work for me. I said, I can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Don't have flat feet. Nope, got both my eardrums. Nope. So finally the guy said, I just don't see any way I can easily get you out of this. And I said, well, what about my weight? I'm pretty skinny. And he said, well, I've never heard of anybody getting out of the draft by being underweight. I don't remember if I said this to him or over the years I've embellished it in my mind and I just thought it.
Right.
But I remember either thinking or saying, you never saw anybody that wanted to get out as bad as I did. So I went on a diet.
Yeah. You went on a diet, even though you were already skinny.
I was really
skinny.
skinny.
He told you the number that you had to be.
I don't think he had a number.
He didn't
I
have a
don't think
number.
he had a number. I don't
You
remember
just
telling me what.
went malnutritioned yourself
I
out of the army.
They sent you your draft notice for your physical a couple of months ahead of when you had to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that much time, and I worked in this hot, sweaty warehouse, unair conditioned tin roof warehouse in the summer in Memphis. So
yeah.
I was able to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's serious. That's like a sauna.
This is really nut. I can't believe I'm telling you this.
This is awesome, dude.
But
It's
anyway,
life. It's life.
I for like a month and a half or 2 months, every day I just had like one little ground beef patty and a hard-boiled egg.
Were you, what did I want to say? Were you agonizing in your mind? Were you just,
I was agonizing.
oh, the whole time?
You bet.
Like, I don't want to go to a war that I don't believe in,
There was
for
that.
one.
Yeah, and I tried
And
to get
then-
the conscientious objector status. No way in a Memphis draft board you're going to get that. I had my
That's just not
father-in-law
acceptable.
and
Get
my
out there and
dad
fight. Right.
and
Or you're not going to
right
be able to
letters.
say that.
What?
Oh, they have to write letters to
Oh, yeah,
tell
you have
them,
to get all this reinforcement. You can't just say,
I don't believe in it.
war. I have a moral problem with it. And they're not going to let you out. That's not going to cut it,
Oh,
especially
shoot.
in Memphis.
I never really thought of that.
But anyway, long story short, I didn't get CO status,
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I knew I had to,
Go to
do
college,
something.
right?
So, well, I couldn't afford to go to college. All my friends had college exemptions because they had,
because they were enrolled,
because
because
they
they're
money to go to college.
right, and they didn't
So,
really have the loan department there
mm-mm.
at that time. You had to actually have the money,
Yeah, it was not like it is now. But,
right?
So anyway, I was a weak, thin little vessel of a man. I wasn't even a man. I was still a boy.
Yeah.
When I had to go and take my physical because I had been dieting and losing
Eating
weight.
your hamburger and your egg every day.
And
That's
yeah, I
it.
remember even that the draft, the place in downtown Memphis where you took your physical was at the top of a hill, and I had to park at the bottom of the hill, and it was like it was hard for me to walk up that hill. I was
Yeah, you
it
had
was crazy.
completely malnutritioned yourself.
Almost. I mean, I was still able to work and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went through the physical. I weighed in at 118.
And they wanted you to
And
be
the minimum weight for my height, which was 6 foot, was, I believe it was 124.
oh,
And I
yes.
saw the guy write 4F. And I just wanted to, I was
Hallelujah.
jubilant. But
Yeah.
I saw him write 4F on this piece of paper.
Cool.
So, I'm not particularly proud of all that, except that I'm alive.
Right. And you didn't
I
have to
might not
kill
have been
anyone.
otherwise.
Yeah. You didn't have to be a witness
and I
to
didn't
it.
have to go and participate in a war experience that I had, so
No
many
interest in. And yeah.
objections to. But anyhow, that happened. So
Okay.
I got out of the draft.
Okay.
Kept working at the carpet warehouse. Got a job. I got tired of that after about 4 years. Got a job as a church janitor in North Mississippi Church, just across the state line.
Okay. Tell me this though. When you got off on your 4F, did you just eat like crazy?
Yeah, my wife Lisa and I at the time we went to a cafeteria type,
Like a first
restaurant.
cafeteria or something?
Yeah, and
Just
I
make yourself
loaded
sick.
my tray up. You should have seen it. Was crazy, and I could eat about one bite of everything because my stomach
Yeah.
shrunk up.
Yeah.
So
There's
it's
no
like,
way you're eating. It's
couldn't
like
even
your
eat
your
all this
eyes were
food.
bigger
Yeah.
than your stomach,
But
definitely.
anyway, I was happy. But
Yeah. That's a good thing.
So I got this part-time job. Well, I think it was part-time as a church janitor because I decided I wanted to try to take night classes and start going to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about maybe.
And you were married at this
22
time?
Yes, married.
Okay.
22, 23,
Oops.
and so I did that. Started taking classes at night. Really liked it, and tried to find a job on campus at
Mm-hmm.
the University at Memphis State, and did find one in the
Cool.
library.
Oh, cool.
Worked there for about 4 years while I went to school.
I love working in the library.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's so awesome.
It was great. It was really interesting and such a you think of libraries as being calm places, but the staff, it's like Peyton Place. There's all this seething turmoil of emotional involvement
Yeah.
between people and stuff. It's just like
It's a lot of women, mostly a lot of women, and they do have, like their life, and you find out it is kind of neat.
It was something. But
It's good for your brain to work in the library, I think, because
thought
it
it
would
was.
trigger me to start. I used to have this game with the kid. I worked in the library, and we would put everything away and get it ready to go out to all the schools. As one of my first jobs with the school district.
Yeah.
And we had like games that we were just making up, puzzle games, like what book
Yeah.
did this person, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
guess all day long until you got it right.
It's
It was
good.
just so good.
You get to work with your mind that way. You know? It's yeah. But anyway, I did that, and
Okay.
while I was in school, I did cartoons for my school newspapers.
Okay.
There were two. There was an official one, and there was a sort of an off-campus, unofficial one. Well, it was kind of off.
So the editorial cartoon.
I did editorial cartoons. Yeah.
Okay.
And that I really enjoyed that. That got me into the whole business of continuing the whole business of doing anti-authority kinds of cartoons against
Sure.
the schools, administration and stuff. This is the mid 70s.
When
early
things
70s.
would rile you up, or someone you would hear talking about a subject, and then you might latch on to that and go,
Yeah, but
this is what people are thinking.
And then working in what was called the serials department, which is newspapers and magazines.
Okay.
I saw a lot of newspapers, including a small paper in Jackson, Tennessee, that didn't have a cartoonist, and I thought it was a really
cool.
good newspaper. So I was like, why don't they have it? They should have a cartoonist. So I contacted them, wrote them, sent them samples of my work, and to my great surprise, they hired me.
Awesome.
So that was my that was my first cartooning job.
And how long did you work there?
I was in Jackson from 76 until 86. So maybe 77. Gosh,
These
where does
things.
the mind go over the years?
Well,
77 till 86 when I came to Wichita to work at the Eagle.
Okay. And what, spurred on you to want to move from
I was just, Jackson is a nice little town, but it's about maybe a little bigger than Hutch, but
okay.
and it's about 80 miles.
You're ready to
north
get
of
something a
Memphis.
little bigger.
I just wanted a bigger, you want
Audience,
a bigger audience, bigger market. So,
You got very good feedback though while you were there, and you were able to get on
I
with
thought
the.
it was hot shit. I got cartoons published in Time magazine and Newsweek, and I thought, I'm ready to move on, to a bigger newspaper. So, I applied and got the job in at the Wichita Eagle here.
Were you still married at that time?
Yes, when I first moved here, Lisa and I were still married.
Mm-hmm.
After a couple of years, we got divorced, and
Did she just go back to?
no, she's still here.
She is?
Yeah, we're friends.
cool.
Yeah.
So she liked it here too. It's a pretty nice town. I love Wichita.
Great. Wichita is great. I can't say enough about it, except that I don't trumpet it too much to people that don't live here because I don't want them coming.
Right, that's true.
Let's
That's
keep
true.
this
It
our
is very.
secret,
There's nothing to do here, guys.
You don't want to come here.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
But,
okay because it does ruin a thing. When you find this great thing, I'll just, for instance, because it's already ruined, Estes Park, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went to Estes Park, it was barely anything. All the shabby little cabins on the little river there, and then it kind of the shining Stanley Hotel, and then the entry to the Rocky Mountain National Park, and but it was nothing. There was hardly any people. I mean, it was nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody. And then now we go.
It's crazy.
You can't even go.
It's bumper to bumper. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to watch what time
Long
you go.
line. Yeah.
If you go off season, it's not too bad.
Yeah. But then it's treacherous sometimes up there too because it's way up there,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think that highway doesn't even go through sometimes.
From Lions up.
To Estes to Lyons.
Mm-hmm.
They close it, I think, and open it back in May
Yeah.
or
probably
something.
So. But yeah, Estes Park is cool though. I like the YMCA.
It's
the
beautiful.
Rockies, the River State.
Yes.
So
We
that's cool.
went there one year. I don't remember. We camped, and you're right. All years blend together. I'll say it was 5 years ago, and it'll be 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we went up there and we were camping, and the showers or something had to be shut down, so we didn't have showers. So we went to the Y and had showers,
Yeah.
and looked around and checked it out. It was really cool. They had kids go everywhere, activities going, and it just was really pretty where it was, and they're like sheep or something over.
Yeah.
It's just really cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it there. But yeah, Estes Park, the secret that got out really bad.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Yeah. So, okay. Where were you at? You came to Wichita. You started working editorial cartoon with the Eagle.
For the first year I was at the Eagle, I was a newsroom artist
Okay.
because they didn't have an editorial
What does that
cartoonist.
do? What does that?
Maps and charts, graphs,
Okay.
graphics, illustrations
Right.
for stories.
So you're
just
you're
a lot
laying
of
it out
everything.
because it's not computerized or anything yet, right? Or are you doing
it was right on the verge of when computerization started to happen, but in terms of graphics. But no, we were doing everything the hard way with a pen and ink and ruling tape and driving
Right.
ourselves nuts on deadlines with
Sure.
all that stuff. And
That is panicky.
yeah, it is. It's real panicky. I did not enjoy that part of it. But I knew when I took the job because I knew they didn't have an editorial cartoonist at the Eagle. They hadn't ever had a full-time editorial cartoonist, to my knowledge. They had Ben Hammond, who was a librarian at the Eagle and did cartoons occasionally, sort of on the side for the newspaper from the 19-teens into the 1960s or early 60s, I think.
Ah,
And
he was kind of ready to go on, and you're ready to pick up. Is that what happened?
Away, I think, long before I moved here.
Oh, okay.
But, anyway, I just always thought, well, I talked the Jackson Sun into starting an editorial cartooning job. Maybe I can talk the Wichita Eagle into it. So I did eventually. Took about a year.
Okay, that was a long.
and
I
talked them into it, and so that's when I started editorial cartooning, and that was in 80. I guess that was 80, 87, close to 88 that I started full-time editorial cartooning at the Eagle.
So, do you have a favorite cartoon that you are most proud of for the Eagle?
No.
No? Do you have one in your mind that people hated the most? Because people will remember the thing that, that they wish, well, not that they wish they wouldn't have done, but now that they know, they might have done differently.
Well, 1991, the Summer of Mercy protests at Tiller's Clinic.
Yeah.
I was drawing, pro-choice cartoons and almost every day during that period. So I earned a lot of hate from people at that time.
And the kind of people that you can't really trust with your life.
I don't know if I'd say. I've never felt like
just disdain.
I had any serious threats against my life, but
yeah.
Generated a good deal of hatred from some people.
Yeah,
and still do.
Got to hear about it and stuff like that. Well, I'm totally pro-choice. So, don't even listen to my show if you can't accept all the ideas. And I understand the opposite point of view too. I just don't agree with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So so if I think of cartoons that I've done that I know people have hated, I know that probably during that period of time when tensions were high on that subject, that I was aggravating a lot of people.
Right. So that kind of...
Yeah, there were kind of three subjects that I thought here in Wichita that I would always get a lot of hate mail about if I drew. One was abortion, one was gun control, which I favor, and one was Bob Dole. I didn't favor very much.
Right. He could be. Yeah.
So, those three subjects were always hot topics.
Right.
For cartoons, but
definitely. So politics, abortion, and guns. Mm-hmm. And religion, but that's not
you don't really draw political cartoons too much about religion.
Usually not. It's usually only like the pearly gates and somebody walking through or something like that. But
I've done a ton of those.
Yeah,
I've sent everybody to the pearly gates over the years.
Anybody downstairs?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
a few. Yeah.
Hitler.
Fred Phelps.
Yeah, there you go.
Roasting right now.
Excellent. For me,
I think I've seen them.
Hey, Saddam Hussein, maybe.
Sounds like a bit of a power trip, doesn't it? But anyway, I send people to hell and I send people to heaven.
Yeah. Well, don't we all? If you think about it, I think it's a little judgy for all of us.
Yeah, it actually is a little judgy, and that's actually a thing that I've struggled with about political cartooning. Mm-hmm. Because I was raised in a very judgy household. My parents were fundamentalist Christians.
Whoa, yeah, that's it right there.
Extremely fundamentalist Christians.
Sure.
I can't, extremely is all caps.
Okay.
So I've battled all my life really against what I think of as a sort of a tendency to be overly judgmental because of that. Because that's a judgmental system. That's a black and white system.
Right.
And
that's why probably the cartoons come to you, because
it could be
you use that as your coping mechanism, maybe, in a way.
Actually, that's true, because when I've still got a drawing or two several that I did when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I would draw in church, and my idea is that I did that to sort of
Block it
direct
out.
my mind away from all this hellfire and brimstone stuff I
Tarnation,
was
yep.
hearing from the.
It's scary, I would think.
sermons. And so I've got I did all these crucifixion scenes, of course.
Yeah.
And I would sneak in a red pencil so I could draw lots of blood.
Yeah.
You know, it's really stupid.
You would sneak in a red pencil?
Yeah, I would,
That's
I
awesome.
would sneak in a red pencil. So, you know, I would draw on the back of these church bulletins, and I would draw these, you know, horrific, I thought they were horrific. When you're 5 or 6, you know, they're
Well,
child
everything's
drawings.
kind of
But
horrific.
I still have a couple of those that I like, but
That's cool. You still have them?
yeah, I actually
You kept
do.
them?
I don't. I keep. I'm really bad about not throwing stuff away.
Nothing away, huh?
It's
Yeah, as bad as my husband?
I think I'm a lot worse than Phil is.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah. You'll never see the part of my basement that we never show people.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
There's a part of your
There's
basement.
a lot of
We've
stuff
been
down
there.
there.
We've had that basement. We just moved into a bigger house. No, I'm just joking. We got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. But okay, so Editorial Cartoon, and you're with the Eagle, and now newspapers kind of starting to collapse.
Implode.
Yeah, just because of the change in times a lot.
Yeah, well,
Making-
several factors there. You know, one was the terrible economy. You know.
Oh, okay. Is that
and the
after
Great
9/11? Is
Recession,
that?
You know.
Yeah.
And one is that I think giant chain ownership of newspapers is not beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, and maybe the biggest one, is the internet effect.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of a perfect storm for print journalism.
And there's kind of a skew to, okay, whenever Fox News came about, whenever cable news came about, is that all coming at the same time? So you're getting this overload of maybe politically leaning 24-hour shock and awe news.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old-time newspaper, I mean, like the newer generation is like, why bother with that? Or why do I have to throw away this every day? Or why don't I just get it once a week or whatever?
Yeah.
So it was like this big amalgamation of different
Mm-hmm.
things
Yeah.
that caused that. And so the paper here, the Wichita Eagle, just started firing everybody. I mean, from what I could tell, it's like, okay, half of all of the ad guys are gone, and half of all of these guys are gone, and
The
you know,
economics were just pressing in on them. They had to
Right.
do something, but you know, and one of those things that happened was that I got laid off.
Along with a lot
11
of
years
people,
ago.
you know, and it was, and you're still doing their editorial cartoon once in a while, aren't you?
Just on Sundays, yeah.
Yeah, and you're also doing other things and doing your art, which is awesome. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I'll put it on the page for your art.
Okay.
If you have a special section or a page that you have, richardcrowson.com. Do you have something like that?
That's out of date now, so if you send anybody there, I'm not sure what they'll find. But
You have Facebook?
Just Facebook.
Yeah. Do you have
That's
Instagram?
No, I don't do Instagram.
Okay. Instagram's pretty cool because it's just pictures.
Yeah.
It's not so much. Because Facebook can make you go crazy. Because Donald Trump is bad. So
I've heard that.
I'm trying not to be political on this, but I've come to the point where Donald Trump is so bad, you guys. I don't understand how
Yeah.
you like him anymore.
Yeah. Well, you know, and you know, when you just draw once a week like I do, and I've always thought my bread and butter was local and state cartoons, because that's why they need a local cartoonist. They can buy syndicated cartoons,
Sure.
any newspaper can,
Right.
on national topics from wonderful, amazing cartoonists that are wonderful cartoons. So I've always leaned very heavily towards doing state and local stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Also because it's more fun, you get more reaction from people that way too.
That's
So,
nice too, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. But you know, all this business with Trump has been so oppressive
Yeah.
and
Very.
just huge that I can't ignore it. I feel like in my cartoons, so
Right.
I end up, gosh, I'm only drawing once a week. I want to draw about some state issue but there's Donald Trump.
Right.
He did it again. He did it even worse. Whatever it was. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
he
crazy.
doubles down and triples
Every
down
time
on
I
everything.
think it's like there's no way that he's gonna say anything about this, or there's no way he'll come out of this, and then somehow I'm reading on Facebook and they've got an excuse for what he just did.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing.
Yep.
And the whole thing. And I'm like, how can you possibly defend this at this point?
Yeah.
I don't understand you.
At this point, everybody, there's not, I don't think there are very many people in the middle of the road anymore.
Yeah, no.
You either hate him
Right.
or you love him in some weird kind of way. That
I don't understand it. I can't understand it either. It's making me want to, I don't know. Vote. Makes me want to vote.
Yeah.
Really bad.
We should be working.
Too bad
to
I
get
can't
out the
vote twice.
No, can't do that.
No, that's illegal. So, okay, so you kind of changed how you do things. So you just retired from the Eagle when they decided to, lay off a whole bunch of people. Did you take retirement from them, or did you?
Yeah, I did eventually after a little while. But,
Yeah.
But I'm still, like I said, I'm still drawing once a week for them.
And are you drawing other things to see if you can get them on, other papers and
No, I don't
stuff
really
like
care
that?
about that. I'm kind of at this point in my life where I don't really care about.
That's not what you're
When I
trying to
was
do.
younger and more on the make and in cartooning, I was more interested in getting stuff in national publications, and I had a few successes there. But at it anymore, I don't care about that.
Okay.
I'm happy with things as they are.
Sure. That's awesome. I think that's a great way to be. So on this podcast, I always ask people, do they have an inspirational story, or do they want to kind of shout out to someone who was an inspiration to them in one way or another? And so take your time, because I can.
Well, I can't really point to one or two individuals and say this is the person that inspired me, because everybody does.
Right.
I mean, I am not kidding. I am literally inspired by all the artwork I see and all the cartoons that I see.
Right.
And I just it's hard for me. I mean, when I think about when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time trying to understand the newspaper cartoons when I was really little, the editorial cartoons.
Right.
In Memphis with a cartoonist named Cal Alley that was there for many, many years. A very conservative cartoonist, of course, in Memphis at that time. But then I discovered cartoonists like Pat Oliphant, national cartoonist, Pulitzer Prize winner, and Jeff McNelly, and all these other national cartoonists, and they were, I was like, that's what I want to do. I really want to draw this sort of this stuff that really aggravates people, that really gets people talking about the subject, not just stuff that people agree with. That's no fun.
Right.
The whole point of editorial cartooning is to foment discussion,
Yeah, get that back and forth.
People, whether they agree or not, you don't care, but you just want to get things stirred up a little bit,
Sure. That's how you learn more.
So, yeah. So, I can't say there wasn't some guy or woman who took me under their wing, so to speak. In fact, one cartoonist at the Memphis paper, after Cal Alley, that I went to visit with one of my high school cartoons or two to show him, kind of told me, I don't know if you should stay in this.
Yeah. Well, that kind of triggers you to try harder if you
exactly did.
Or it'll be like, well, I'm done with this.
Exactly
then I'm
did,
wasting my
because
time.
I was just enough of a punk to say in my mind,
right?
Because he made some comment about the way I had drawn a finger on a hand.
Yeah.
Somebody that was gripping something and they had their little finger up. He said, "Why don't you do that?" So every time for decades after that, whenever I would draw somebody gripping something, I would intentionally make that little finger stick up, just
to aggravate the guy.
Just a sort of
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I may be immature, There's no maybe about it. I am immature, but I'm lucky. I found a way to indulge some of my immaturity in a socially acceptable way that
Plus
I can
your
actually buy
cleverness.
groceries with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's an
I'm
awesome
not ashamed
thing.
of that, but no one person. But when it comes to art, there's so many amazing artists in Wichita.
Oh,
I don't
sure,
even
yeah,
want to
there's
start naming them because I'm afraid I'll leave out somebody that I adore.
right.
That
Yeah, I get that.
doesn't
You
come
don't
to
want to
mind
just
right now,
say you don't want to shun someone else.
but you've already had Chris on your show, and
Yeah.
he's so inspirational to
Good
me.
look, he's awesome,
And,
man. That
and
that
Wade,
piece that he talks about, wow.
yeah, and Wade has been an inspiration to me forever, and
Definitely.
he's one of a kind. But here I go starting naming names. I
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
do
we're
this
not doing
because,
that. Yeah.
but yeah, I just love everybody. I even love. I haven't even seen much of it up close, and I've just seen some of Phil's paintings.
Oh, yeah,
Phil,
he's
your
doing-
husband is doing great stuff.
He's getting into those
There's so
landscapes, man. They're nice. They
there's
look
so
like
much-
pictures, some of them.
There's just so much to admire. In all the artwork that you see. I mean,
It's
you're learning
time
from it,
and-
even
yeah.
if you look at it and you say, "I don't really care for that," but what is the reason I don't care for it? And then you figure that out, and you're learning.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
That's cool, Richard. I think that's really a good thing to, to put out there, is that you don't have to like something in order to learn from it,
Oh, no, absolutely not. You might
Definitely.
learn more from stuff you don't like.
Right.
But because it starts turning the wheels more and starts making you analyze it, or at least
Right.
that's how my mind works. But
Sometimes,
yeah, and that's not just true in art. I mean, that's in music too, which I do a lot of. And
Yeah.
there's hardly any musician that doesn't inspire me.
It's true, isn't it?
There's something great in
Yeah.
everything.
And everyone has their own style that it makes it unique and special. So I love watching people play music. It's one of my favorite things, and art, of course. But yeah, what's your favorite book? Do you have a favorite book?
Golly, boy. Might be As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. I love William Faulkner's work, and I was raised in that part of the country. Memphis is just 60 miles north of Oxford. And I had most of my family was from the Oxford area.
Really?
Yeah. My grandfather used to almost spit whenever you'd mention William Faulkner's name.
He didn't like him?
Oh, a lot of locals hated William Faulkner.
Yeah, because he was
Well, he was pretentious.
progressive.
He was a pretentious asshole
Right.
too to people around him. Let's face it, he was a genius.
yeah,
And,
yeah. It's hard to be a
but
genius.
he was very pretentious, and he affected a limp and claimed he got it when he was in the Royal Canadian Air Force. and he carried a cane and walked around town. And my grandfather used to call him Count No Count.
Why?
Well, because he affected being some sort of a count or something.
Yeah.
And so he called him Count No Count. Well, then I read a biography, one of the great two-part biographies. I think it's by Joseph Blotner of William Faulkner. And he talked about in there how some of the locals called him Count No Count. I was like, my grandfather did that.
I told you the story. Isn't that cool? That is cool. I mean, reminiscing.
Yeah, and I have so many books that I love. But Tom Sawyer, I love that book. I read
No,
it
that is a cool
when
book.
I was at an impressionable age. I read like crazy when I was little, and Tom Sawyer I read over and over and over. I love that book so much.
The way that they spelled the words and the way that they sounded.
Yeah, the dialect, the southern dialect that they used,
And it probably made you feel a little comfortable, but
yeah.
Yeah, I like Tom Sawyer a lot too. It's just, for me, it was really hard to read because I didn't get the dialect as well, so I would read it, and then I would laugh at what it sounded like, and then I'd pick up what it was that I was even saying. I read a poem to my sister one time that was like written like that, only Italian, English.
Uh-huh.
So, Manapia. Like, like every little thing. So I read it to her and just laughed. We just laughed and it was just fun. So, well,
Yeah.
Richard, it's been really fun talking to you. Is there anything else that you wanted to, share?
I'm just glad you're doing these podcasts. I think they're very cool.
I appreciate you coming. I
how'd
really
you come
do.
up with the Catchapocket name?
Well, the reason why is I was, I had the whole premise of the podcast and everything, and I talked, I would tell my husband about it, and he would say, you need to try for stars. And I'm like, I don't know stars, but I know is really cool people right here in this town, right? So I know anybody is just as good as anyone else. And when you have these creative folks that have all these brilliant ideas, yeah, I wanted to catch it, So I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and I liked Mark Maron a lot. And then one morning I woke up really early and I was scrolling through Facebook or something, and I got bored of it. And I put it down and I turned on the TV and I saw David Letterman or somebody having a Netflix show where they were interviewing. I can't remember if it was David Letterman or not. But I watched one and the guy's interviewing Jay-Z. And they're talking back and forth, and all of a sudden I'm like, it's kind of like they caught a pocket together. It's kind of like, and then after a while they started talking and they kind of said exactly that at the same time, and I thought, oh, that's just it. So I wrote it down.
Yeah.
And I went back to bed because it was like 7 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday or something. I was just like...
Well, it's cool because it's an unusual phrase, and you can Google it,
Uh-huh.
and you come right up. There's not
Right.
competition.
I did
for that
check,
phrase,
after I
and-
wrote it down, and the next day I checked
Yeah.
to see if anyone else had used it or was using it. And no, and I just started seeing these things where people were surfing.
Yeah.
And then, being around musicians, you'll hear them say, we were in the pocket. And then it was like, it
Yeah,
just all
yeah.
came together
That is
perfectly
so
for
cool.
me. So,
Well, it's cool, and I wish I could think of something else profound to say, but I don't really have that much, except that I really need to mention what an inspiration Karen is, my wife.
yeah, she really is. She's
Because
great.
she supports me with music, and she supports my weird art ideas, and
Yeah, and you guys sound awesome together if
we
you get a
enjoy-
chance.
That's how we met, playing music, and
Yeah.
so I should definitely do a shout out about
Yeah.
that, because
Miss
I'm
Karen,
sure
you're...
I wouldn't have been able to even start painting, which is something that is a real passion for me now, if it hadn't been for her encouragement and
Right.
helping me make the time to do that.
She's very...
And she's very artistic on her
Right.
own right. She's doing a lot of what's called mosaic chipping.
Right. I saw her doing something
and-
with a table, I
Yeah.
think. It looks beautiful. And then they lay glass, or she puts that epoxy around it sometimes.
Yeah.
That's really
it's
cool.
Very neat.
Yeah, and
So-
she's a wonderful guitar player. She's my
amazing.
idol. I mean,
She's-
I'm her... I idolize her, actually.
She's just about my favorite bluegrass guitarist to
She
play
can-
with. 'Cause
yeah.
She's but what a win-win that was for me.
Well, I'm sure glad you came, and maybe I'll have her on one of these days, too. She
Yeah,
agrees.
she'd
I'd
be
love that.
interesting. She'd
I'm
be interesting.
documenting as many people who will have, will come over, or we can do it over Skype, too, because, coronavirus. But I totally disinfected everywhere, and I'm kind of a homebody right now.
Yeah,
So,
most of us are.
well, I hope you stay well, and thanks for coming.
too.
Thanks for catching a pocket with me.
And thanks for having me, Lori.
Thank you, Richard, for being part of the podcast. Episode 27. You can like us, share us, tell a friend. We're on Google, Apple, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube. When I get around to downloading it, thinking about switching from Podbean to another app, podcast app, but I haven't decided yet. That was fun talking to Richard, and I really appreciate him coming and catching a pocket with me. and I appreciate you all for listening. I'm going to take you out with a tune that Richard's band Papa and the Boys taped for a album for my brother-in-law Kirk Grunstrom. Richard's band Papa and the Boys featuring Richard and Dennis and my husband Phil and Ted Farha and Bob Hamrick, and this is Whiskey's Gone. Enjoy it, and I hope you guys catch a pocket you can be proud of.
The whiskey is gone, but the pain's still there. My baby is gone, and I still care. Well, the whiskey is gone, but the pain's still there. My baby is gone, and I still care. Whiskey is gone, 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 the pain's still there. My baby is gone, 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 and I still care. Well, the whiskey is gone, but the pain's still there. My baby